Who knows what Hubert Davis is going to do the rest of this summer because we won't be checking in with him.
Yeah, that's right.
He's spreading his wings.
You know what I'm doing. You don't have to check in.
but we won't be because, see, our legal team won't be here. They're sponsoring us today, and then he's spreading his wings and he's going out into the world.
We won't know again till the fall.
See our commitment, see our results, see our legal team, proud partner of Carolina Athletics. Coach, I highly recommend everyone listen to your radio show from Monday night because you addressed a lot of these topics. I think Carolina fans are familiar with these end-of-season meetings in the way that they heard about them with Coach Smith, and they've seen the stuff in the museum where he would give the players a printed list of here's some ways you can get better.
Yeah.
Is that how it goes? Like, do you give them an index card or what happens?
I don't give them an index card, but we do talk about, these are things that you did really well and reinforce that these are things that we want you to continue to do well. And then here's some areas that, in the summer that we'd like you to improve on so you can be even better, a better version of yourself the upcoming season. So definitely those type of conversations are had in the off season. But there's also, now college basketball has changed and there's other conversations. These kids have a lot of noise in their life and it comes from a number of different directions, and they have choices. They have choices whether they can go to the NBA or test the waters. They have choices in terms of being able to transfer, not lose a year, can be on another team in a matter of the next season. And so those are conversations in terms of – those are the first conversations, just trying to judge, just initial thoughts in terms of moving forward, whether it's staying here at Carolina or thinking about going to the NBA or thinking about transferring and going to a different program.
Coach, after the game, again, this is something Coach Davis talked about a little bit on Monday. You said it was one of the more emotional locker rooms because of how close this team was and I think how meaningful this season was to everybody around the program. I'm guessing that it was an emotional time for you as well, not just your players. How do you try and balance you're emotional when also you're the leader of the program and you need to stand up there and you need to talk to these guys? How do you try and balance that very challenging moment?
I'm balancing a lot. It was really emotional, I think, for a number of reasons. Obviously, because we lost. All of us weren't even thinking we were going to lose.
Sure.
We thought we had another week and a half together, especially, we're up 3 with 1:30 to go. Pretty much the whole season, we've closed those type of games out. And so there was no thought of that. And it just how abruptly a season can end, in a minute and a half, your season is over. And the reality of this special group not being together in practice and out there on the floor in the game was devastating to all of us. And we stayed in the locker room because if we got up and left the locker room to take a shower, to use the restroom, or go to the interview room, that meant it was over. And we just wanted to be in the locker room together as long as we could. And it was really emotional, and it should be because this was a special group. And but I don't, and I've said this before, I know, we lost in the Sweet 16, but I'm not, and I don't want anybody to lose sight of what a special and unbelievable season this was. And even though we didn't get to the Final Four and win a national championship, this was a special team, a special season, and they should be very proud of the accomplishments this team had this entire season.
I brought visual aids this time.
Okay, great.
I found this.
Yes.
Oh.
What would you tell this guy about
oh my gosh,
what's to come? Is that the night you were drafted by the Knicks?
No, that was the press conference. Okay. I got drafted, and then
I'm going to hold the picture up while Coach is answering.
Yeah, they flew me to New York a week later, and then that was my first press conference. It was right downtown New York City. I can't remember where it was, but that was my first press conference.
So what would you tell this guy about what's ahead of him?
Oh my gosh, that was a little kid. It's so funny because, I got drafted in the first round, going to the New York Knicks, playing for Pat Riley, playing with Patrick Ewing and Doc Rivers, and I didn't want to go. I wanted to stay here. I think about guys that get an extra COVID year. I would have taken it. I just loved it here, and the experience, and gosh, that was it 22 years old in New York City, not married, no kids, just starting. Like, it was a long time ago. I don't even recognize that person.
What do you think this person would be most surprised about what's happened to you since then?
Everything. Everything. And I've said this before, I wanted to come here. So that was a goal of mine, to come here. But I never thought that things would work out the way that it did here. I never thought about going to the NBA. Even my wife and I, we had a conversation the other day, like kids today go, I want to play in the NBA. And I'm like, that's great. Do you know how good they are? When we play, I remember Coach Schmidt says, you're going to get drafted in the first round. You're going to play in the NBA. And I had the exact opposite response. Really? Are you serious? In the same court as Larry Bird and Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan? That's not possible. They're in a different planet, and I never would have thought that I would have been on ESPN. I was in speech therapy class all throughout elementary school, middle school, and high school. I stuttered. I hate public speaking, so
Except checking in.
That is the one highlight of my life. I never would have thought that I would be back here as an assistant coach. That wasn't even on my radar of thinking. And then to think that this guy right here would be the head coach here, that's just hilarious. And so the things that I've been able to experience, that's the cool part, is that I've been able to experience it, but it hadn't been anything planned. It's just been something that I've been able to do.
All right, I have one more, and then we'll just kind of get a final thoughts kind of thing too. One thing you said I thought was really interesting on the radio show on Monday.
Yeah,
is that you rewatch every game, and or a lot of the games, and that you
all of them,
and you take notes, and you say, "Ooh, I did this in this situation. That was good," or "I did this. Maybe I shouldn't do that." When does that happen, and how do you kind of file all of that information? Does that make sense?
I'm not going to do it now.
Right, sure.
By the end of this month, I'll start watching every game and just taking notes. And in terms of how do I file it, I'm a visual learner. So if I see it and if I write it down, it's there forever. Right. And so I can remember every small detail of what's happened on every game, and it just really helps me out in moving forward and growing as a coach. I just continue to want to get better in every area, and looking back at those games and being able to learn and grow, those things are really helpful and beneficial to me.
Is that as small as, I took a timeout here, maybe I wouldn't, or I didn't take. Is it that kind of stuff, or is it big picture kind of thing?
It's big picture, and it's a small thing. A lot of times this year, before halftime, I call timeout. So I like to chart, what plays did I run during those things, and the success rate, and so that'll help me moving forward. Of should I call a timeout right before halftime? Should I have one or two set plays that the guys know, so I don't have to call timeout? Or I can just say before halftime we're either running one or two, and just different stuff like that. I like to look at and just continue to tweak and pivot and stay the same, and I just think it's really helpful for me. But I'll watch teams and coaches that I really enjoy. And I'll watch almost all of their games too. And it's been one of the biggest things that I love about recruiting is that all the coaches are around. And I just remember this past summer, me spending a lot of time with Kelvin Sampson. And him, I just kept asking him questions, just kept talking to him about defense and the things that he valued in terms of his team. And it really laid a foundation for me in terms of, we talked all year about defense, rebounding, taking care of the basketball. And so it was specific to me and to this team. But, my conversations with Coach Sampson about how detailed of the things that are important to him and how important it is to reinforce every day, that was something that really helped me this summer. And I love that kind of stuff.
All right, last thing, and I asked you something similar last night, when it's all said and done, what are you going to think about this year? What are you going to remember about this year? What kind of emotions will you have about this year?
I'll remember that there's a lot of things. A year of tremendous and tragic loss with Eric and my uncle, which was horrific and horrible. I think about this year, a year of restoration, because I've said this before, it is this year I needed it. With all the stuff that's changing in collegiate sports, there's a lot out there, and it's not the same. And it restored my faith that it is possible to put a group of kids together in a locker room that want to be a team and really enjoy being a team. And that has meant a great deal to me. I think Coach Smith and Coach Guthridge and Coach Williams would be really proud to coach this team. That's the biggest compliment that I can give this team.
Well, Coach, thank you for your time all season long. Coach sees us more than he sees Leslie sometimes. So we appreciate it.
Not anymore.
that part of the season. So, Coach, as always, thank you for your time, and look forward to seeing you again here in the near future.
All right. Thanks for everything, guys. I really, really appreciate it.
That's Hubert Davis on our final edition of the season of Checking In with Coach Davis, presented by CR Legal Team.